Well, today is Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026. I'm Brittany Noble, and here's what's coming up today on The Breakdown. The family of a Mississippi toddler killed during a police shooting is demanding answers today. And an innocent bystander was shot in the chest. She'll join us today to share her journey of recovery. And for the culture, we'll share practical strategies for building resilience and confidence. The Breakdown begins now. With a breakdown of the headlines and the stories that you need to know about from across Black America. Voters in Maryland, New York, Utah, and South Carolina will head to the polls to vote in today's primary election. Redistricting will be central to Democratic primaries in Utah and Maryland, while South Carolina faces a heated Republican runoff that will include a race for governor. Redistricting has played an outsized role in this year's primary races, in part due to efforts from President Donald Trump. Republican leader has sought to redesign state congressional maps to give his party an advantage in the race to control the House of Representatives. The spotlight will be on Maryland's Governor Wes Moore, who is seeking re-election. Moore has traded barbs with Trump over issues such as election security, the Potomac River sewage spill, and his missing invitation to an annual White House governors meeting. We'll also see the power of endorsement, either from President Trump or New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani, as votes will reveal if these high-profile backers continue to make the difference during the crowded primary contest. And in Utah, this is the first primary in which a redrawn congressional map in the state is in effect. The map, effective in November of 2025, recasts the state's first district, which represents Salt Lake City, towards Democrats. And the family of a Mississippi one-year-old shot and killed by police demands police release the shooting video footage. Family believe the evidence could show whether officers were in danger of being struck when one of them opened fire. Cohen Wiley was killed on June 14th while riding in a vehicle with his mom, Felicia Wiley, and another woman in the Walmart parking lot. Police had responded to a shoplifting call. Cohen's mom said the call involved a box of diapers her friend was carrying, and that she believes the diapers had been paid for. Wiley said they were driving away when officers opened fire, while police have said the vehicle was heading toward officers at the time. In a news conference on Monday, civil rights attorney Ben Crump told reporters the best way to resolve conflicting accounts of the shooting is to publicly release any body camera, dash camera video, and Walmart security camera footage. Trump is also calling for an independent autopsy to be done, a key detail in assessing the shooting.
We're here to stand for transparency, accountability, and justice for baby Cohen. There are some who will call us controversial for coming to Mississippi to demand transparency, while they would call it just plausible that we can delay the truth from being revealed. There are some who would call us controversial for coming to stand up for this black baby's life, and try to say that everything is plausible to just take the word of the police. There are those who would call us controversial for saying that it is a shame before God that the police would shoot into a moving vehicle knowing that there is a baby involved. It is not controversial for us to stand up for transparency. It is not controversial for us to stand up for accountability. It is not controversial for us to stand up for truth. It is not controversial for us to stand up and call for justice for this little black baby named Cohen Wiley.
Now, Crump questioned why officers did not allow the vehicle to leave and instead record its license plate number. And 9 teens have been charged after a viral video shows a black teen being choked and beaten in Lenoir County, North Carolina. The deputy's office said that May 23rd, that fight was allegedly set up by victim's ex-girlfriend after they broke up. In the video, a white girl punches the black teen before he runs away, but the group of teens catches up with him. Ashton Clark, 18, and Landon Harris, 19, are seen on the video attacking the boy. The video captures him being spat on and hit in the face with a bottle. It then cuts to Clark holding the black teen in a chokehold. The attack allegedly left the victim with broken teeth, ruptured blood vessels, and other injuries after multiple teams surrounded him, while others recorded this incident. Clark and Harris have been charged as adults, while a 17-year-old and 6 other teens are also facing charges in connection with this assault. Investigators say they do not believe the attack was racially motivated. The victim's family, though, is calling for justice as the case moves forward. Former Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin was a no-show in court again for a hearing related to an ongoing legal battle involving his adopted black son, Jonah. His judge, Angela Johnson, is visibly fed up. Bevin's son, Jonah, is seeking child support from Bevin and his estranged wife, Glenna, claiming he was abused and then abandoned at a violent youth facility in Jamaica. He was only 17 at the time. Matt Bevin has been held in contempt of court, and a judge recently issued a warrant for his arrest for failing to appear and not producing required financial statements. On Monday, a judge denied his attorney's request for more time to gather the documents. She said this is a standard protocol in child support cases and said Bevin is dragging his feet. Judge Johnson said that this case has been going on for more than a year, and they kept hitting the same roadblock with Bevin's financial documents. She said the court receives half turnover information or completely redacted reports. Bevin's lawyer said he believes that the situation unfairly targets the former governor. In addition to being ordered to serve 60 days in jail, Bevin must also pay a $500 fine. Former Dalton, Illinois Mayor Tiffany Henyard has secured a major legal win against her former landlord after a judge ruled in her favor in a dispute over a rental property. The landlord claims that Henyard and Kamal Woods owe nearly $10,000 in unpaid rent and other costs. A judge ruled on Monday that Henyard's name was not properly signed on the lease and that Henyard's social security number was willfully exposed by the landlord in documents. As a result, Henyard is entitled to $1,000 from the landlord to offset the cost of an ID protection service, in addition to $500 in attorney fees. Woods, however, is still on the hook for much of the unpaid rent, with the judge ruling that he owes the landlord more than $7,000. Movie mogul Tyler Perry's male assault accuser, Mario Rodriguez, has filed new claims accusing him of avoiding a mandatory deposition, which may ask questions about his personal sexuality. Rodriguez, who filed the lawsuit in December of 2025, accuses Perry of unwanted sexual advances and assault. Perry declined these charges as well, labeling the suit as a money grab. Rodriguez reportedly is asking the judge to issue a no-compromise deposition for the filmmaker, compelling him to attend a deposition, claiming Perry failed to appear for multiple scheduled dates since April. According to Rodriguez, Perry has demanded that both sides sign a legally binding statement that shields Perry from any questions regarding his sexual orientation. Perry has accused the defendant's questioning of being unnecessary, but Rodriguez and his team insist that Perry's sexuality is critical to the $77 million civil lawsuit. Rodriguez had a small role in Perry's 2016 film, Boo, A Madea Halloween. Well, stick with us here on The Breakdown. We have much more ahead, including a clip from Roland Martin Unfiltered. In case you missed it, right after the break, stay with us.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
I'm Risa Colbert, and you're watching the Black Star Network.
In our Black and Missing segment, we're asking for your help in finding Najiba Pasha. She was last seen on June 17th, 2026 in the 4300 block of Tompkins Avenue. That's in Oakland, California. If you have any information, please contact police. The number to the Oakland Police Department is 510-238-3664. You missed it on Roland Martin Unfiltered last night. The Voting Rights Act takes another blow as the U.S. Supreme Court declines to hear a case challenging a lower court ruling that limits who can enforce key voting rights protections. Roland discusses this latest move.
What the Supreme Court did today, a huge blow. I told y'all about a case that started out of Arkansas that was going to have serious ramifications when it comes to voting rights. Well, the Supreme Court declined to hear a case challenging a lower court ruling that limits who can enforce key voting rights protections. The decision leaves in place a ruling that prevents voters and civil rights groups from bringing certain voting discrimination lawsuits in Arkansas, Iowa, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, and South Dakota. Instead, those cases will largely have to be brought by the Department of Justice. And we know they absolutely are an anti-black, anti-voting rights Department of Justice. Of course, this comes after the Louisiana versus Calais case. Avis, I kept warning people that this was a case that was crucial. People need to understand that means in this jurisdiction, that means that the ACLU, Black Voters Matter, any external group, NAACP, Legal Defense Fund, Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, any external group cannot file a voter discrimination lawsuit. And by saying, and because the people who supported this law say, well, only the DOJ can bring about these cases. Well, we clearly know we have right now an anti-black Department of Justice.
Absolutely. We don't have a Department of Justice. Let's just call a thing a thing. We have a Department of Injustice. That's what we have right now. And so to go along as a match set with the Department of Injustice, we have an unjust Supreme Court. And so here we are in this moment where from every angle, the voting power of Black people are completely being dismantled before our eyes. And what's shocking to me is the degree to which we're not really, but aside from you, Roland, you are definitely giving this specific issue the attention and the focus and the urgency that it deserves. And it once again shows how important this platform is. Because I have to tell you, when you look on mainstream media, when you look on, even on social media, just in terms of the conversations that are going on there, this is an issue that was a blip for a second following Calais, and now it's like it's completely off the charts. And while this is something that is no longer getting all the headlines, it is something that definitely is still a huge deficit for us as Black people, and the attacks just keep coming. This is the latest one. So one other round in the attack on Black voting power, one other round in the ability to dilute, diffuse, fracture the Black vote, and to specifically say, under this administration and in this Department of Injustice, that we are to assume that that institution would do anything to protect Black voting rights is an exercise in futility. We know exactly what this is. They're trying to undermine our voting power, and it's time for us to speak up, get up, and do everything that we can to protect it.
Yeah, and so listen, as a result of the Supreme Court doing this, now granted, it is limited to that particular part of the country. Do not be surprised to see right-wing advocates, Avis, file similar lawsuits, and you know where they're going to go first, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. That governs most of your southern states. And so you're going to see that Fourth Circuit. And so don't be surprised to see that's the next phase where they do this to basically shut down external groups from filing lawsuits in states where you have a large amount of Black people.
Absolutely. And this is another thing about this particular ruling that is exactly right. They're not going to stop here. They're going to keep going. And what we have seen in terms of the strategies that the right has used so far, they have used this strategy of pushing forward on various different lawsuits in order to undermine the power of a wide variety of equal protection coverages, right? And now we're talking about voting rights. But what's really disturbing about this is, you know, in the past, at least we've had the ability to have those institutions that historically have taken up the mantle to fight for justice, to fight for equal protection, to fight for our voting rights, to fight for our rights to be treated equally in this nation, to now undercut their ability to be able to fight back is really the death blow here until we can get this corrected. So one thing I will say, this once again highlights the absolute urgency of making sure that we move forward in a way that overperforms, not only in the midterms, but we have to look forward to the presidential elections, the House and the Senate, because at the end of the day, we need significant Supreme Court reform. This needs to be the death nail in the Supreme Court as it is currently constructed. We need to move forward. And to me, one of the non-negotiables that I have to see for any presidential candidate that I'm going to vote for in the future, that person has to say, one of the things that I'm going to make sure happens at the very top of my agenda with the next presidency, to make sure that we have Supreme Court reform. And to make that happen, that person needs not only the presidency, they need the House and the Senate. So we need to do all we can to get back all the realms of power, because until we do that, something like this really undercuts our ability to be able to fight back for our voting rights.
Well, and here's the deal here, and this is most important. I keep saying, you cannot have any reform of the Supreme Court if you do not get control of the House, Democrats, get control of the Senate, and then get control of the White House. And so the elections are all a part of this.
Absolutely. And what most people, a statistic that most people don't realize, is that for the past 30 plus years in this nation, The Democrats have only held both the House and the Senate for a total of 8 years out of the past 30 years. I mean, it's very rare that we have both the House and the Senate. You know, we have all of these huge expectations. I know people are talking about, for example, with the recent Obama's presidential library opening, and there's this big debate that's gone on ever since he's been in office. What has he done for Black people? The reality is he only had the House and the Senate for 2 years out of 8 years. All right, it's kind of hard to get shit done if you do not have the Congress in addition to the presidency. So we have to understand that it's important to not only vote for president, it's important to make sure that that president has the legislators that they need in both houses of Congress in order to be able to get through legislation. And to make this happen, as you mentioned, it's not just enough to have the presidency. It's not just enough to have the House. We need to have the House. We need to have the Senate by overwhelming margins because we know how things are there in the Senate. And so the rules are there. So we need to make sure that we have all of that together to be able to make sure that we can make these huge changes that we need to make in the next couple of years, because unless we do, our voting rights can be gone, essentially, in terms of its full power, at least for another generation.
Folks, do we have Ome Congo or Thelma?
Well, coming up tonight on Roland Martin Unfiltered, we will have much more news from a Black perspective all tonight starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, only on the Black Star Network. Please stay with us. We still have much more coming up ahead after the break here on The Breakdown. We'll be right back.
They said the quiet part out loud. Black votes are a threat, so they erased them. After the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, Republican legislatures moved fast. New voter ID laws, polling place shutdowns, purges of Black voters from the rolls. Trump's Justice Department didn't stop it, they joined in. In 2018, his DOJ backed Ohio's voter purge system, a scheme that disproportionately erased Black voters. Their goal, erase Black votes and political power. Yeah, that happened. These are the kinds of stories that we cover every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Subscribe on YouTube and download the Black Star Network app. Support fact-based independent journalism that centers African Americans and the issues that matter to our community.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
What's happening? This is your man, Motown recording artist Kim. You are watching the Black Star Network.
They've been trying to erase Black political power since Reconstruction. Now the Supreme Court is helping them finish the job. First came Shelby County versus Holder in 2013, the ruling that gutted the Voting Rights Act. Then came Brnovich in 2021, another ruling, another piece torn away. Now comes Calais, the case civil rights leaders warned could cripple the last major federal protection against racial vote dilution, and within days, Tennessee eliminated its only majority Black congressional district, Louisiana. South Carolina, Alabama. The same strategy is spreading across the South. The old Jim Crow used poll taxes and literacy tests. The new Jim Crow uses gerrymandered maps, voter roll purges, polling place closures, and court rulings that make black communities politically invisible. 1965 was Freedom Summer. This is Freedom Summer 2.0, because they are still trying to erase black political power, and we will not bow.
A decade of love, joy, and power. Black Voters Matter is 10 years old, and we are just getting started. This is love with a purpose. This is black joy in motion. This is unstoppable power. Across campuses, neighborhoods, and back roads, let's go. We show up not just to vote, but to be seen, to be heard, to belong. We ride together, we organize together. We remind each other that our voices matter, because they always have. Black Voters Matter is about more than ballots. It's about housing and healthcare, clean water and living wages, education, reproductive freedom, and dignity. It's about turning pain into action, turning belief into movement, turning community into power. We don't wait to be invited. We bring the energy. We bring the love. We bring the people. Because when black communities come together, we don't just survive, we thrive. This is how change happens. This is how history moves. We organize, we build, we win.
Today for the culture, Michelle Bryant-Johnson is an award-winning mindset expert, executive coach, and leadership professional who is joining us today. And oh, Michelle, there you are. Hello. Thank you for joining us.
How are you?
Oh, I am so well. Thank you very much for your patience and for working with us today. Could you tell us a little bit more about your journey and what inspired your work?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for spotlighting and highlighting the work we're doing at michellebryantjohnson.com. Totally excited to be here and thrilled with this opportunity. So my journey really, it started many years ago, but it was amplified or really motivated after the death of my husband suddenly from COVID back in 2020. So he was a Superior Court judge and I'm in corporate America, but of course everything was on shutdown and it just turned our lives upside down. So it really put life in perspective, for me, my family. And I decided to, go through all the counseling and moving forward, working on my wellness and my mental health, and then there was no turning back. So I'm grateful, but certainly miss him, but grateful for the progress and the work that we're doing now to help others.
I know this is a long journey that you have been on, and I love that you are helping other people. Why do you think that so many people are struggling right now?
Well, there is so much, even in the work that you're doing. You see it every day, but it hits all of us right in the pocketbooks, financially, emotionally, professionally, our well-being. And so the key is to not be consumed by it. And so that was a path and journey that I had to take. I had to learn how to deflect, not to take, consume everything personally, put it in perspective, not to consume too much, certainly be aware, but put things in perspective and really move forward and not be dictated by everything that's happening around.
Mm. Now, how does that self-awareness impact the workplace and performance and leadership?
Absolutely. It's a direct, it affects directly because it affects the performance. If your mind, your mental state, your emotional state, how you connect with your team, leaders within your organization, your own productivity. If your mind isn't right, or your emotional well-being isn't stable, or certainly at the level that you like for it to be, to be a high performer, then it is definitely affects you. So the key is to do something about it, recognize it and do something about it.
I guess the key would be to try to recognize it early. Are there some signs that maybe fear, anxiety, burnout could be driving some of our decisions?
Sure. All of the above. Absolutely. The fear, anxiety, even, when you're in leadership roles, imposter syndrome, family, you may be, caring for a family member, and then you may have children at the same time, and so that's, 3 levels, including taking care of yourself. So there's lots, the economy, we're spending a lot more for less. And so there's so many factors, including, mass layoffs, and of course the convergence of AI, which is here to stay and grow and beyond. So there's anxiety about that. So to mitigate some of that is, take steps for that.
What are some big mistakes that you notice that people are making when they're under pressure?
I would say ignoring how you feel. You don't want to ignore it. You want to acknowledge it, and then like I said, take some simple steps. So some immediate things: am I getting enough rest? What am I eating? What am I listening to? Who am I listening to? Am I overscheduled? Am I having fun? Do I laugh? Am I enjoying the life as much as I possibly can, given the circumstances? So, like I said, I want to definitely be in the know and aware, but I'm not consuming it all day, every day. So give yourself a break. If you're a person of faith, certainly lean into that, and but also meditation. So getting centered, quiet time. I've been natural hair for over 10 years, so I do make a point of going, to the hair salon, which is a great place. My particular salon is a faith-centered place, so I can unwind. And I schedule exercise, movement, daily movement as much as you can. And it doesn't have to be huge, hours per day. Just for a simple walk, just getting up from your desk and moving, and then hydrating. So those are simple steps initially. And after trying some of those and you still feel that something's not right, certainly seek help. And we have also resources on michellebryantjohnson.com that can help with that as well. But yes, so identifying it, and then taking steps to help yourself in that area.
I know negative self-talk can be incredibly damaging.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about how we can begin changing the way we talk to ourselves, and the work that we can connect with on your website.
Yes. So that is so important, how you speak to yourself. And for me, I'm a happy introvert. Never imagined I would be making my living in the public space. I was the quiet girl growing up, but I love being with me. But I'm highly social, and I love it. I'm a teacher at heart. So on my website, I have several resources, but one that I'm truly proud of is 33 affirmations for self-love and empowerment. And what I discovered And this is years of learning and development. I was also teaching at the university level. I would get a sense or a clue about how people feel about themselves. And there is a correlation between how you feel about yourself and how you treat others. And I've experienced that firsthand. So the resources on my site, the cards, you can get the card deck. It's 33 affirmations, but it's more than just the affirmations. It's an explanation, and it's also there's space for you to reflect and then take action. So you have to. Yeah, it's great to have it, but you need to take actions. And you can get it as a card deck. You can download it as a digital piece. They're beautiful cards. I also have a book. So the paperback and hardback is at the publisher now. So that's coming out soon, and you'll be able to order the physical book as well. So that's a great place to start.
Okay. And are you on social media? Is there a way that we can stay connected with you as well?
Absolutely. So I have a series actually right now on Instagram, which is at MBJ Elevated Lifestyle. And so I have a series talking about Spark, which is actually a program that I wrote to navigate corporate America after the death of my husband. So it's a framework. It's a lived experience. I'm my number one client. So what I'm sharing is a lived experience. And so I'm excited about where I am today and excited to help others as well.
Oh, we're thrilled that you are able to be in the position right now to use your life experiences to help others, and you're giving us these principles that we can apply in our daily lives. And so we certainly appreciate that. Before we let you go, any emotional wellness habits people can start practicing right now in this very moment that could maybe help us out a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. Set boundaries. So at work, even with family, like, how the concept of putting the mask on first before you help, the oxygen mask on yourself before you help someone else. If you're not good, it's challenging to be able to, fill the cups of others. So schedule your wellness. I schedule it. I have a schedule daily for movement, but also for when other things that I want to do, I schedule it, and I really don't change it. It takes a lot for me to change my schedule for my wellness. So, but set boundaries, schedule wellness, hydrate, get rest, and of course, seek help if you feel like you need more. Okay. And certainly visit, my site, michellebryantjohnson.com, for resources.
Great information, Michelle. Thank you so much for joining us today on The Breakdown.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It means a lot. All right, folks, coming up right after the break here on The Breakdown, how a youth arts program is building confidence, leadership, and opportunity for the next generation. Stay with us. You'll want to hear this story. And if you like the work that we do, know that your support is critical. You can support us via Cash App using the Stripe code. We'll put that there in the bottom left-hand corner. You can help us out with credit cards. Use the same thing. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo's RM Unfiltered, Zelle at RolandSMartin.com. Rolling at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. If you are old school, you can send checks and money orders payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196 in Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Bria Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
violent white supremacy is, quote, the most persistent and lethal threat in the homeland.
The greatest terrorist threat to the homeland is the homegrown violence stream, including hate crime committed on behalf of some kind of white supremacist ideology.
They are coming after everything in Black America. MAGA and Donald Trump are specifically targeting Black America. They are going after the money. Attack Black Lives Matter. Attack critical race theory. Attack woke, DEI. MAGA wants to defund Black America. This is a perfect example of their desire to completely degrade and de-emphasize Black people.
Well, today in our Noble Spotlight, we're highlighting an organization working to create change through the arts, education, and service. The Infinity Center is helping young people discover their talents through performing arts, while also tackling homelessness and bringing people together across different backgrounds and beliefs. Joining us now is the founder and chief spiritual officer of the Infinity Fellowship, Reverend Jeff Carr. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us, Brittany. How you doing today?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much. I hope you're doing well too.
I am doing absolutely fabulous. Every single day that we get to be here on this side of life, breathing, we get to choose whether we get to be on the blade side or the root side. So I'm glad to be on the blade side with you, with Black Star Network, with all of the great work that you're putting into the world. And I just want to say on behalf of what we know we're building together as a community, thank you for committing to showing up and to showcasing people who are out here doing the work. It's all together.
Reverend Carr, that means so much. Thank you. Tell us a little bit more about the Infinity Fellowship and the work that you guys do.
Surely. The Infinity Fellowship was visioned over 12 years ago. And it was the amalgamation of what my life was as a spiritual sojourner and also a bit of a spiritual misfit. I fall in the category of people who consider themselves spiritual, but not necessarily religious. And that's a growing category of people in the United States. And a lot of our folks, especially young people, find themselves in that same position as well. I came up in the church, Kane Avenue Missionary Baptist Church, Nashville, Tennessee. That's where I sang my first song. It's where I was in my very first play when I was a little kid. It's where I developed my esteem, my confidence, and my ability to stand strong. That came out of the church environment. I was teaching Vacation Bible School when I was 12 years old and secretary of the Sunday school. And then I got to college and I got awakened. So I started studying world religions, and my friends were Muslims. Some of my friends practiced indigenous religions. Some of them practiced Ifa. And so I found myself drawn to the truth in each and every one of those traditions. I found myself when I studied those traditions that people, once they got into a faith system, they proclaimed themselves right and everybody else wrong. And somehow that just never sat with me. So I spent time in the church. I got ordained in ministry. I spent some time traveling. I studied the Kemetic or Egyptian tradition with Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen. I studied the Native American or indigenous tradition of the Lakota Sweat Lodge under Baba Kolioso Nasheed Fakhruddin. And I even studied Ifa under the great late Babalawo, or Father of Secrets, Metahochi Shangodeli Zanu. All of these traditions taught me that there is value in bringing people together across religious divisions. And so as I wandered around to different places for years, I finally accepted the calling a little over 12 years ago to create the Infinity Fellowship. And so the Infinity Fellowship is a community of people who come together across religions. We are interfaith, we are interspiritual, and we are integrative. So we believe, and we practice rather, that holistic health is important. It's just as important for us to learn how to take care of our bodies, to nod to what Sister Michelle said, as it is our minds and our spirits. So we've been 12 years going strong as a fellowship. We have reached people all over the world, and we've seen a lot of growth to this spiritual but not necessarily religious concept by providing community for people who felt so alone like me. From that point, we launched the Infinity Center, which is what we do to do community outreach. And we've had some great things happen as a result.
Tell us a little bit more about the Infinity Center.
Yes, the Infinity Center was a way that we wanted to put work into action. When people call me and they say, Rev, how do you get people together who might be Muslims, Christians, you have some omnists, you have some agnostics, but how do you get work done? And I say there are 4 principles that we focus on: spirituality, focusing on the God of your acceptance and understanding; nurturing yourself and others, mind, body, and spirit; action, which is taking action on your divine purpose. And then if you do those 3, you see the P, which is the proof that your spiritual practice is manifesting fruit in your life. That's what we want to see. We want to see fruit. So those 4 together are SNAP. So whenever you see somebody with what's happening, people just kind of snap. That's what we do. We snap to remind ourselves. So what we did with Infinity Center is we launched a way to go out and do good in the world for the sake of good. We launched a partnership with some friends from Haiti and Haiti, where we went and rebuilt after the major hurricane after the earthquake several years ago. We rebuilt and supported orphanages in Delmont 22 neighborhood. And I got off the plane, Brittany. It was disheartening because in Port-au-Prince, there were pallets stacked with food all the way 8-10 feet in the air. And I told our guide, Yanel, I said, Yanel, it looks like great things are happening. And he said, brother, you'll never see them. I asked him why. He said, because they belong to the world church organization. And in order to get food and assistance, you have to enroll your children in their school. You have to commit to their belief system, and you have to agree to cooperate with what they teach. And so if you don't do that, you won't get any help. I thought that was flat out wrong. So when I came back, I partnered with a buddy of mine, Dwayne Jones, and we said, how do we help people without forcing them into converting to what we believe, and just do good for the sake of doing good? That produced a crowdfunding effort to build Nashville's first micro home community. And we were able to do that. We got on the map globally for creating micro homes. We built 6 micro homes and donated them to people who were formerly homeless. And that began our community reputation. And then from there, we began to do more outreach, including bringing back from my theater days a youth performing arts academy that we run during the summers and workshops during the year, where we teach young people how to act out on a stage instead of on a street corner. So we have an opportunity to actually be the change that we want to see in the world. And we're excited that through the Infinity Center, we get an opportunity to do just that.
Tell us a little bit more about the kinds of skills that students gain through the academy beyond performing on stage.
Oh, you know, when you're performing, you get a lot of skills, and you always know that they are integrated and connected. Some people say, well, you give somebody an opportunity to stand up and sing a song, that's enough. Well, when you're behind the scenes and you're teaching these kids, as we do, you teach them the meaning of the song. That's oral interpretation. You teach them to write the lyrics, to understand them. That is literacy. You teach them to study the history of that song, and you teach them how to integrate with a symphony of different players. And that's a metaphor for life. So imagine how we're teaching people who are writing plays. Imagine how we're teaching people how to write poems and prose. I love when I get the chance to teach creative writing, and I get to be a part of that, because we teach young people something that, believe it or not, is just not taught in schools anymore. We teach them how to write in cursive. So as we are innovating, as we are bringing these young people in, the greatest joy is seeing some kids who are so painfully shy be able to stand on a stage in front of hundreds of people at the end of the program, proclaim themselves to be who they are, to show the work that they've done in a broad spectrum of the arts. When we teach art, we teach music, we teach painting and visual arts, we teach dance, and we also teach creative writing. and acting. So these kids come out and they're absolutely stars. I'm of the opinion that any child that you get that is willing, you bring them in, you can be hard on them because they know when you're being hard on them when you like them and when you're just being hard on them because you don't. So when we see that end product, when children's eyes light up, they are equipped to go into the school systems that they're in. They're equipped to go into communities that may or may not be hostile, and they are not afraid to allow their inner light to shine.
How are you able to finance these programs in the community?
I think if I had to say that in one word, I'd say creatively. So we financed it in a number of ways. We have crowdfunded scholarships for people before. When I had the Amun-Ra Theater several years ago, I did a fundraising effort where I slept on the roof of the theater to raise money for scholarships for these kids. And I was up there for seven days. We raised, I think, almost $50,000 for scholarship for the kids. But I say to my friends and family, I'm a little bit out of the space of sleeping on a roof for a week. But we do traditional fundraisers. We're gearing up for our annual major fundraiser in October, which will take place the first weekend of October, where we ask community partners and individuals to chip in. We definitely have a donate button on our website at infinitycenter.org. And Brittany, what we do is a little bit different. I came out of the nonprofit industrial complex when I was a young man. And that model was very easy on some level. You pick the kids who have been most traumatized. You pick the kids who have the worst backgrounds and the worst home life, and you take pictures of them and you show all of their poverty, and then you show it to a group of people and say, please give us money to help these poor little children. Trauma porn has never been a part of our model. The kids that we work with, that we work to give this academy to for free, we want to make sure that if they've already been through trauma, if they've already been through hard times, why would we want to parade them in front of people just to guilt people into giving? So we operate from a very clear model. Your vibe attracts your tribe. So if you feel this energy and you say this is important, we know that there are people out there who will go on, who will donate. There are people who come in and volunteer. There are people who offer us equipment and opportunities. And we see that when we do it that way, the rising tide lifts every boat.
So if you don't have the money, there's still ways that folks can support you. You mentioned volunteer options. Tell us a little bit more about what we can do.
Yes, absolutely. If you'd like to support Infinity Center, there are a number of ways. If you're local in Nashville, one of the ways that we get great support for our young people is that people who have names and personalities show up. Some people say, hey, I play professional sports. I'm a television personality. Allow me to MC an event for you. Allow me to come and present to the kids. There are bankers who have brought their institutions in to do financial literacy workshops, not just for our children, but for people in the neighborhood. There are financial institutions that teach adults through our community education program how to buy a home, how to invest and build wealth. So again, if you have a skill, if you have something that you'd like to contribute in terms of expertise, whatever you bring to the table, we will maximize and we will use. This is the way community is built. One of my favorite African proverbs is, when the spider webs unite, they can subdue the lion. So never be in a position where you think you can't contribute something to this program, to other programs that are around you. We do have the opportunity to be the change if we take up the charge and just move ahead with it.
That's good advice. How can communities begin building stronger connections with one another, even outside of Nashville?
Oh, yeah, surely. I said this a couple of Sundays ago. I give these interesting interfaith download messages. And one of the topics that came up was, why are we here? What are we doing here? When we talk about this concept of heaven, I won't be overly religious, but I will say this. When we talk about spirituality, which is experience, versus religion, which is simply following doctrine, I ask people to describe, what is heaven like? And we all say, oh, it's peace, it's love, it's joy, its goodness, its fullness, all of these wonderful words that we could put up on a bit on a whiteboard. And then I say, where is heaven? Because we know that when we look it up in the Bible, heaven says, Jesus says in Luke 17:21, that you won't be able to find it any other place because the kingdom lies within. The kingdom of heaven is within us. So if we are here to create on earth as it is in heaven. So that means that we're supposed to be beings of peace. We're supposed to be beings of joy. We're supposed to be beings of thanksgiving and gratitude and celebration. So if we just act as we are made to be, then we can find ways to connect where we are. The other point that I make, before I get too long-winded today, I still have a little Baptist in me. When we talk about the concept that the Yoruba people have, the concept they have is remarkable. I love it. In Ifa, they teach that heaven is our home, earth is the marketplace. So we're simply here visiting and we return to home. Now, if heaven is our home, and in heaven we have this concept of joyfulness, peacefulness, getting things done, feeling abundance, feeling prosperity, then in reality, if we want to make a change in our community, all we got to do is act like we got home training.
That's it.
Act like you got some home training. Act like you remember what it's like to be the outcast kid like I was. Remember what it was like to barely graduate high school with a 1 point something grade point average, to be hauled off the juvenile and think that your life was going to end up in the gutter, and to come to the realization that you could do better because of where you ended up. For me, it was Tennessee State University as an undergrad. These places inspired me. And had it not been for people putting their hands on my shoulder when I was acting an idiot and saying, listen, there is more in you, I would not be here talking with you, Sister Brittany. So everyone has an opportunity to do that. If you can remember what it was like for you and see that in someone's eyes, some child's eyes, some friend's eyes, some coworker's eyes, that empathy will drive you to step forward and say, how can I contribute to making life better for you?
Reverend Carr, founder and chief spiritual officer of the Infinity Fellowship. We thank you for joining us today on the breakdown. And we really are just thrilled that you could tell us a little bit more about the work that you are doing with the Infinity Center. Thank you for all of the work. And we appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. And again, keep up the work. We're loving what you're doing out here. You're affecting a whole lot more people that will never be able to say thank you. So on behalf of them, much gratitude. And to you and the entire crew, y'all keep going.
Oh, we appreciate that so much. Thank you so much, Reverend Carr, for joining us. Yes, we do have an entire crew here at the Black Star Network working to make sure that we can continue sharing news from a Black perspective. And we thank you for joining us today on The Breakdown. And we'll be back tomorrow with more news at 12 p.m. Eastern here on the Black Star Network. Have a great day.